Right. So this afternoon, we're going to be talking about activity planning for people living with dementia and other types of memory loss. Our objectives is we're going to learn about why engaging people who have dementia in activities so important, learn how to assess activity interests in people living with dementia, learn how to design and implement activities for people living with dementia, and then describe how to adapt activities for each stage of Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. So, an activity is anything we do from the moment we open our eyes in the morning until we go to bed at night. A lot of times, people have this idea that in order to do an activity with somebody living with memory loss, it's got to be this grand gesture and this grand plan. And, that they're going to spend an hour or 2 hours doing this activity together. And then it doesn't have to be that grand of an activity. It can be just something very, very small. And everyday encounters and care tasks can be just as valuable as a grand activity, right? Such as building a birdhouse or painting a picture. Those are great activities, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have to be that grand. It can also be something just as simple as a conversation. Recently, I was at a memory care facility and I was doing some professional education, and I had one of the residents come up to me with a baby doll. And she was trying to communicate with me that, hey, look at my baby doll. And the baby doll had a blanket, but the baby doll was not wrapped up in the blanket. And so I asked, would you like me to help you wrap the baby in the blanket? Oh, yes. And so we went to the table, we wrapped the baby in the blanket, we pointed out its eyes, its nose, and so it was 2 minutes of an interaction. But that was an activity because that was something that person was enjoying in that moment. So it provided that individualized meaning. It was important for her that her baby was wrapped up because it was cold. And so I provided that, and we were able to connect in that moment. So some types of activities are, of course, work, whatever occupation that person had, household tasks, if that person enjoys sweeping, mopping, cleaning up after a meal, doing the dishes, dusting, whatever that person participated, throughout their lifetime. Leisure, what did they enjoy doing for pleasure? Right? Did they enjoy going fishing? Were they hunters? Were they gardeners? Did they enjoy growing a vegetable garden or a flower garden? Did they attend movies? Did they go to concerts? Did they enjoy painting or creating works of art, such as a birdhouse? Did they enjoy self-care? Did they prefer to go and get a manicure and pedicure? Did they enjoy going to the hair salon and getting their hair done once a week? Or did they enjoy going out to eat? What kind of foods did they enjoy before the memory loss? Or maybe they just were pretty low key. They enjoyed quiet walks, or they enjoyed reading or holding hands with their partner, or maybe just sitting and watching the birds. Those are some things to consider when you are planning activities for people living with memory loss. Activities should support their remaining abilities, right? So, for example, let's look at the birdhouse or use that as an example. You wouldn't want to try and have somebody in the later stage of Alzheimer's disease try and build a birdhouse, right? So, you would want to support those remaining abilities that they still have. I used to be a housing manager at an assisted living facility, and we had somebody move in who in our memory care unit, and she was a housewife her entire adulthood, and she was used to cleaning up after every meal, and so that's exactly what she would do after she was done eating. She would get up and she would start clearing the table. And that was important for her. And I wanted to support that for her. And so we continued to allow, as long as it was safe, right, for her to do that. Activity should not involve new learning, right? Because we know as the disease progresses, they're not going to retain new information. And so we want to use those old skills that they have that and we want to create a space where they can use those skills that remain. We want to enhance quality of life and their self-esteem, right? So we want them to be successful and we want them to participate in activities that they enjoy. We want to offer choice, but not be so overwhelming, right? And we know as the disease progresses, too much information is can be very overwhelming for people living with memory loss. And so we recommend offering two choices. Do you want to paint or do you want to color? Or do you want to listen to music or do you want to watch the birds? So offering two choices, keeping it very simple, will definitely be helpful with activities. Activities can be planned or they can be unplanned too, right? Activities can be something as a conversation. You could walk to somebody's room or somebody's house and just take a look at the pictures that are on the wall or the knickknacks that are on the mantle. And you can use what you know about the person, even if you know very little. You can just pick up on that information and just start talking about, say, I notice you have pictures of horses on your wall. See, did you have horses growing up? And you can start that conversation and they can, speak to the horses and they can reminisce about maybe they raised horses and they have experience with that. And so they can share those stories with you, which is really healthy for the brain too, because it's making those brain cells that are still alive functioning, right? And they're working and they're exercising. So reminiscing is a really, really good activity. Activities can involve all the five senses as well. So, some benefits of activity involvement, it increases connection with others, especially that reminiscing, right? Or taking my baby doll example, that connected the both of us together. And she really enjoyed that moment of me helping her and showing me her baby, right? So that connected us. When again, it took 2 minutes of my time. It increases communication. It increases their self-esteem, their enjoyment, their sense of purpose. Like that example I shared with the housewife, she enjoyed cleaning off the table. That provided her that sense of purpose that, hey, I'm still contributing here and I still have something to offer, and let me do this. It increases cognitive stimulation, like I talked about with reminiscing activities. They're using their brain, they're exercising their brain. Activities can decrease stress and agitation, which we want for folks living with memory loss. We don't want them to become agitated or stressed. So we want to decrease that. So activities can provide that. Can decrease their wandering, right? So they're not bored or they're not searching for that sense of purpose or searching for what am I supposed to be doing right now? I'm not sure. It decreases symptoms of depression and again, boredom, decreases that sense of isolation that I'm all alone here, or it can decrease issues with their sleep cycle too. The more activities that they're involved in during the day, the more worn out that they're going to be towards evening and hopefully have a better night's sleep. So, how do you know, especially if you're working in a long-term care setting and somebody just moves in and transitions to your facility, how do you get to know this person? Well, we're going to find out. It's extremely critical that you know the people that you are supporting. And this applies to everybody, family caregivers and also professional caregivers, right? Know their life history as much as you can, right? And you're not going to know everything day one, right? This is going to take some time to get to know this person and get to know their information. We want to know their accomplishments, their roles in life. Are they a mom? Are they a grandma? Were they a daughter, a sister? Do they have any siblings? What are their life experiences? What are their preferences? What is their routine? What are their habits or rituals? What are their coping mechanisms? So if they're having a bad day or they're feeling super, super sad, what's going to help get them out of that kind of funk, right? What were their dreams? What were their goals? What were their hopes? Who is their significant others or who is their people, right? Who is their family? Who are their friends? Who do they trust and enjoy being around? Also, know what their current abilities are. And, that's helpful to know kind of what stage of the disease that they're in, and also what their ADLs are, what their IADLs are, and what do they enjoy doing. What are some barriers to participation? So, if they've suffered a stroke and they're paralyzed on the left side, you're going to want to make sure that you know that information so you'd understand as to why they're not using the left side or their left arm. What is there nonverbal communication? Is communication maybe a barrier to participating in activities? For example, if you were walked into somebody's room and said, "Hey, do you want to play bingo?" They may not understand what bingo means, right? And so you may have to provide visual aids for them to understand what you are asking them to do. And also reminding them too that, hey, we're doing an activity in the commons area. Would you like to join us? I did a presentation yesterday and a family caregiver had mentioned that the facility that her parents were at, the staff would go into their rooms and say, "Hey, we're doing activities. Come with me. Let me show you what we're busy doing. We want you to be with us." And the daughter was very appreciative because her parents needed that reminder that, hey, we're going to be doing some things that are fun, and we want you to be a part of that. So, assessment methods, of course, we want to get the information from the best source, and that's the person living with memory loss, right? And unfortunately, sometimes that's not always applicable or appropriate because of the communication challenges or the disease progression. And so, if that person living with memory loss is not able to contribute, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, then talk to family or friends that are involved in this person's life and get that information from them. Know their life history, right? And that is so important to know what did they accomplish? What did they used to do, right? For a job? What was their career? Where were their passions? And you can use what you know to help that individual during activities and also throughout their care. What is their leisure interest? Sometimes you may maybe a survey. Show pictures, right? Show pictures instead of using words, if that is, again, if communication is a barrier. Or observe them doing activities, right? So if you bring them down for bingo and you show them what you're expecting, and they're like, "No, I'm not interested in bingo." Okay, so now you know bingo is not their favorite thing, right? But you want to keep trying and trying to figure out what they do enjoy. So we use these personal profile forms during some of our professional care or professional education. And so we present these to long-term care facilities saying, you know what, this is a quick resource for staff to get to know individuals who are living with memory loss. And so this is just an example. And so this is Barb Smith, and this is what is important to know about Barb Smith. So when's her birthday? Who is she? She's a daughter, she's a sister, she's a mother, she's a grandma. What is her personality like? She's driven, she's hardworking, she's busy, and she loves to have fun. And we'll go into more detail as we go through the form here. Okay, so What is it about Barb here? She managed a dental clinic for 30 years. She enjoys traveling the world. So maybe we could look through some magazines with her that show different places throughout the world, right? And we can just talk about the pictures in the magazines. Oh my gosh, look at this rainforest. It's in Brazil. Did you ever go to Brazil? Oh man, that's something that I really would like to do. That's on my bucket list. She enjoys collecting Mickey Mouse figurines. So you can talk about Mickey Mouse figurines with her. What provides her comfort, right? What about her health? And so, one thing about her health is that, or comfort, is that she's a very modest person, and personal cares are going to make her very uncomfortable. So, that's something that we're going to need to know, right, in order to provide the care. She loves collecting Mickey Mouse figurines. She enjoys being outside. She's most comfortable if she has, it could be anything, right? Just kind of fill in the blanks. Next is what are her preferences, right? What are things that she really, really likes? So on here, Barb Smith likes babies. So there you go. Maybe that's an activity where she could carry around a baby doll if that's something she would be interested in. She enjoys going for walks. So if she's starting to feel, let's say, anxious or she's starting to get a little restless, maybe walk up to her and say, "Hey, Barb, you know what? I was thinking I would like to go for a walk, and I was wondering if you would walk with me. I really want somebody to walk with." Hey, she probably will. She enjoys doing it. She likes looking at flowers. So, again, a flower magazine, or you can plant a pretend flower garden, right? And so you could say, okay, let's plant a flower garden. Which flowers are we going to plant in our flower garden? And you can use pictures, visual aids there as well. What doesn't Barb like? She does not like surprises. So you wouldn't want to startle her, right? So you would want to announce that your presence. You wouldn't want to startle her. She does not like loud noises. So maybe bringing Barb out for bingo, because bingo can be pretty loud, right? If you think about all the chatter and the noise of the bingo ball machine, or there can just be so many distractions. Maybe Barb's not going to be a good person to bring down for bingo, but you can try it. Or she does not like being cold. So she would not like today and tomorrow's weather for sure if she is in North Dakota. So you would want to make sure that Barb has always near her maybe a sweater or a blanket that she can easily access. Who are her people? Her people are, I'm assuming this is Barb's husband, Bob. And so these are her kids and grandkids as well. And so if Barb's having a bad day, maybe you can mention, "Oh my goodness, how is Bob doing? I think he's coming soon for a visit. How long have you been married?" One question that I like to ask people living with memory loss, if they're able to communicate verbally, is tell me how you met your husband or your spouse. Tell me about your first date. Tell me how they proposed to you. And let me tell you, I've heard some extremely sweet stories over the years about how people fell in love and their first kiss. And it's just been super sweet to hear those stories. Let's talk about dignity. She's got wishes that she wants respected, and they're outlined in her advance directive. And so that would be something important that people would need to know. Here's another example that Joan actually did with folks that she used to work with. And I just love these. So they took pictures of hands, and these two gentlemen had their pictures taken. And it's such a sweet reminder of all the things that these two gentlemen have been through, right? These hands they've been a husband, they've milked cows, they enjoyed Jeopardy. They met actor Tom Selleck, right? And then these hands plowed roads, plowed snow, played football. So, just a nice reminder of these folks living with memory loss have been through a lot. And this is just a quick way to be able to get to know just a little piece of their history. So we are going to watch a quick clip from the HBO's The Alzheimer's Project, the memory loss tapes. And I just want you to think about when you watch this clip, what are some things that this woman is successful at? What are maybe some barriers? And how could the daughter in this situation maybe help her overcome those obstacles?
Yeah. Oh my. Even if I look out and she was right there, it was just the constant worry that something might happen. What if she gets out and, gets lost in a cornfield or something? And you hear about it on TV or in the newspaper about, 80-year-old man lost in, wanders away from home and is found 5 days later, curled up in a cornfield, dead or something. I fear that. Some friends from my spinning group came and we put all this fence up. Basically, the whole perimeter is fenced, and it's made a world of difference. Why? This basically is wandering, just sort of aimless, walking about, fiddling with things. Oh, no, we gotta leave the cat food. No, you can't eat that.
Yeah.
No, that's for the cats. Yeah, I better. I need to find a better spot to feed the cats, I guess. You got some peas and a squash to have for supper. Oh, don't break it, please. Hey, you squash bandit. So she leaves little vignettes, you might say, that I find around the house, and I take pictures of them. It shows me the little glimmers that she's still there.
All right. So now let's move on to designing and facilitating activities. So again, the emphasis on the activity with the person living with memory loss is going to be that they're participating and not necessarily the end result. So if they participated in an activity for 5 minutes, they participated in an activity for 5 minutes, right? Maybe they didn't complete the entire activity, but they still participated. We want to incorporate retain long-term memory. and procedural memory. And so again, reminiscing is another great activity for people living with memory loss to do. Another situation, I provided a professional care consultation, and they had a resident that would be up quite late and would get up around midnight and would start going into other people's rooms and getting people up. And so staff were like, gosh, we've tried everything. We're not sure what we can do for this person. And she's, being disruptive to other people. And I said, okay, well, what did she used to do for a living? What was her occupation? Well, she was a nurse. And I said, oh, okay. Well, what shift did she work? Guess what? She worked the night shift. And so I asked the staff, so what do you think she's doing when she's up at midnight and she's going into other people's rooms? Oh my gosh, she's checking on our patients. I said, exactly. And I said, so how can we use that information to help her? Right. And so what we did some brainstorming activities. And so what we decided to do was the staff are going to get a little table and a chair for her, and they would set it next to the nurse's station. And they would have a clipboard for her and blank pieces of paper and a pen so she could do her charting. And so when she would get up at midnight, they'd say, oh, Jane, it's so good to see you here. We've got your clipboard ready for you. Can you do your charting? And here's your desk. And, that worked so well. And that stopped behaviors eventually from her going into other people's rooms. She got to do her charting. She would wear herself out by doing her charting, and then she would go lay back down. And so, again, using what you know about the person and providing them that activity so that they can do that is very, very beneficial. Length of activity should be based on their attention span, right? So if they have very little attention span, a 5-minute activity is going to be perfect versus an hour-long activity. Sometimes you might have to provide partially started activities to not only help them with the attention span, right, but also a visual aid for them to understand what the expectation is for this activity. And then, of course, you want to obviously make sure that we're being considerate of safety, right? Everybody's safety. So let's say you're doing a baking activity. You want to make sure that, sharp knives or, the electric beaters are, they're safely able to utilize those instruments. So facilitating activities, effective communication is essential. So you want to communicate with the person living with memory loss in a way that they're going to be able to understand what you are saying. So if verbal communication is a challenge, using those visual aids or pointing to things and modeling the behavior that you're expecting them to do. Be flexible. You can have the greatest activity planned, right? I hear from family caregivers, oh, we had the best afternoon plan for mom. We were going to go shopping. We were going to go out to eat. We were going to get her hair done. And mom made it as far as shopping. And mom was tired out and mom wanted to go back home. And hey, great. So now you know what mom's abilities are, right? So mom can only handle maybe a half hour or an hour outing and not a big afternoon. So us as caregivers, we need to be, flexible as well. Consider the time of day. So if you know that they're on top of their game in the morning, you want to do those activities in the morning. Or if they're on top of their game in the afternoon, you want to do afternoon activities, right? Activity is not a great idea when they're sleepy or they're not feeling good and they just kind of want to hang out in their room. So you probably wouldn't want to introduce an activity during that time. Again, using gestures and orientating cues, we want to break up activities into individual steps, right? And make it small, simple steps. We want to assist with difficult parts of the task, right? And again, be mindful of your body language and what you are communicating to the person living with memory loss. So instead of just kind of taking over the activity, you could ask something like, may I help you put the batter into the pan? Or may I help you get that piece of wood, glued together, whatever the case is. And you want to include the person through the conversation, right? And so you can talk about what you're doing. If you do need to assist them with the activity, you can tell them, okay, I'm going to do this now. And that will be helpful for them. So we always are going to come across every once in a while the reluctant participant, right? And that's okay. Here are some tips on how you can engage that reluctant person is maybe don't ask, do you want to come down for bingo? Maybe you want to say, hey, we're going to do something fun right now, and I'm hoping that you can come with me because I really want you to come with me, right? It's how we word things. Right. And so if we're sounding super excited, like, hey, I know something and you don't know it, but I want to show you what I know, come with me. Right. Well, that's exciting versus knocking on their door and saying, hey, you want to go play some bingo? Well, that's a tone of voice, right? There's definitely a difference in tone of voice versus asking or, you know, hey, getting their attention and saying, hey, come on, come with me. It's important to, if see them struggling, obviously, again, you're going to ask, hey, can I help you in this situation? We want to give concrete cues, right? We don't want to be, um, we want to be assertive with what we're asking them to do. And maybe we need to initiate the activity with the person that's observing, right? So maybe they're just watching other people do the activity. So maybe we need to initiate with that person. Okay, so we're going to talk about activities by stage of Alzheimer's disease. So, early stage of Alzheimer's disease, we can, the person can still participate in most of their usual activities and interests, especially if they're in a familiar environment or if it's a familiar task. But as the disease progresses, they may start to withdraw from activities of interest. It's important for you to provide activities that stimulate cognition. And there are steps and tasks may have to be adjusted and simplified for that person. So in the middle stage of Alzheimer's disease, activities are going to need to be simplified and modified further. So for example, if you're doing a baking activity, maybe the cake batter needs to be all mixed up and ready to go, or the cookie dough needs to be all mixed up and ready to go for that person. Work and task-related activities can be comforting and purposeful. Again, clearing off the table after a meal is comforting and again, providing that purpose, that sense of purpose. Activities in the middle stage of Alzheimer's are used to prevent and reduce distressing or disturbing behavior. And then they are also used to incorporate physical activity into the daily routine. I visited a long-term care facility recently, and there was a gentleman that was exit seeking, and he continued to exit seek, and it was becoming a concern for his safety. And so I met with staff and we discussed, okay, why is he exit seeking? What did he used to do for a work profession? Well, he used to be a meter reader. So he would go to people's homes and he would read their meters. And so, of course, he's trying to go to the next home, right? He's thinking he's at work, he's got to go and read meters. And so, what the staff did, and this was very clever, they made kind of pictures of readers or meters, excuse me, right? And they would post them throughout where the hall where it was okay for him to wander. And they'd give him a clipboard and a pen and say, okay, here's the meters.
Who's
Do you
helping
want to
you?
read them? And he was able to go and read them and then mark down, just scribble on the piece of paper. And that decreased his exit seeking behavior. And so it was just a wonderful follow-up to hear the story about how he was enjoying reading the meters. And it also provided that physical activity that he needed too, because he was used to walking all the time. And so he needed that physical exercise as well. So they were meeting both of his needs in that moment. During the late stage of Alzheimer's disease, multisensory activities are really beneficial during this time. It's more about providing comfort for the person living with memory loss than it is doing and participating in activity. The person may be very passive participation. They can connect through touch, and also repetitive motions are important during this stage. Okay, we are going to watch a video on how to connect with people during the late stage of dementia.
When people are very old and deteriorated and no one enters their world and they're just sitting there, they will withdraw inward more and more. And their desperate need for connection is all now inside.
Check your milk situation. I think you're okay.
And if a person is all alone, even if they're very, very deteriorated, there's a longing for this kind of closeness. Mrs. Wilson? Hello. You want me to sit? Can you see me good? Gladys Wilson is a wonderful example of a person who is in the phase of repetitive motion, where people use movements, repetitive movements, because they don't have any more speech or very little speech, but they have human needs that need to be expressed. You're crying. You're crying. You have a tear right here in your face. You have a little pain. You don't want me to touch you. You're very sad. Can you see me? Is it scary? Are you afraid? And if this person sits with their eyes closed, rocking back and forth, and maybe there's a tear coming down, there's a need there. Here. There's a little tear that's coming out. Do you feel it? You feel a little tear? If you gently use touch, and I touched Gladys Wilson with the fingertips right here on the cheek, is where the mother usually touches a child. If you touch an infant there, it looks up, and every cell remembers where it was touched by the mother. And often that person knows, even if they can't say a word at that moment, they won't talk, or they don't want to talk, but there's a communication, and that person is no longer alone. Can you let me in a little bit? You think? Just a little? You think I could be with you and Jesus for a minute? Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. I used music, because when speech is gone, music, especially with Gladys Wilson, it was religious music, because there's emotion tied to it and safety tied to it. So I used her old church songs. Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me, the Bible tells me so. What I did was, when she moved, I moved with her. And when I was singing, because she didn't sing with me, so I matched the intensity of my voice to the intensity of her movement. And pretty soon, for a split second, we became one person. Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. So at one point, when she got very quiet and very peaceful, and my voice became very quiet as hers and very peaceful, and my breathing slowed to her breathing, she pulled me to her, and I moved with her. And for her, at that moment, I believe I was a symbol of her mom. Can you open your eyes now? Do you see me? Feel safe and warm? Yes? Can you sing with me? He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got the mothers and the fathers. He's got the mothers and the fathers in his hands. He's got the mothers and the fathers in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. The breakthrough doesn't happen every time. The person will not always open their eyes and look at you. But if you keep trying, and you keep centering yourself, and really look at that person, and really mirror their movements, maybe not this time, but the next time you come, you'll have a communication. You feel safe. You feel safe? Yeah. With Jesus? Yeah. And me?
Very, very powerful. Music is such a powerful activity to do with folks living with memory loss. So we're going to provide some activity examples and resources for you. So music, as you could see in that video, extremely powerful activity to do with folks living with memory. It boosts their brain activity, right? And it is absolutely amazing. That lady in that video, as you could see, what we could tell, right? It was just that she was just nonverbal, right? And she was in the end stage of her journey. And even though she wasn't able to verbally communicate, she was trying to communicate by her tapping. And then eventually that connection was made, and she did sing along to the music that she grew up with. So how amazing. So music brings back emotions, and which then brings back memories. Musical aptitude and appreciation are long-standing abilities and long-lasting abilities. They can shift mood, manage stress, and facilitate positive interactions, right? It can turn a very bad day into a very good day, or it can help de-escalate a situation. Music is effective at each stage of dementia, and so you can implement music at any time during their dementia journey. So some activities that involve music, examples could be some music trivia. You could do a themed dinner or a party based on a style of music, such as like a Hawaiian luau or a 70s disco. You could do an Elvis theme night, and then maybe provide instruments so they can participate along with the music, or maybe involve music with exercise. We're going to watch another clip on how powerful music is for people living with memory loss.
Let's try your music, okay? And then you tell me if it's too loud or not, okay?
Music is inseparable from emotion. So it's not just a physiological stimulus. If it works at all, it will call the whole person, the many different parts of their brain, and the memories and emotions which go with it.
able to sing with this?
You can if you like.
When I first met him, he was very isolated, and he used to always sit on the unit with his head like this. He didn't really talk to much people, and then when I introduced the music to him, this is his reaction ever since.
Henry waking up did something to all of us. Everyone in the room felt it.
The philosopher Kant once called music the quickening art, and Henry is being quickened, he's being brought to life.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the music for 1 second, okay? Just to ask you a few questions. Okay?
How awake was he?
I'm going to give it back to you.
Was he still lost in his dementia? Or had the music in some way changed that?
Henry,
Yeah.
do you like the iPod? Do you like the music you're hearing?
Yes.
Tell me about your music.
Well, I don't have one, I mean.
Ask yes or no questions.
Do you like music?
Yeah, I'm crazy about music. You play beautiful music, beautiful sound. Beautiful.
Did you play music when you did you like music when you were young?
Yes, I went to big dances and things.
What was your favorite music when you were young?
Well, I guess, well, Cab Calloway was my #1 band guy. I like it. That did the holy, the holly, the hilly, the holy, the milly, the
Henry.
Yeah.
What was your favorite song?
Oh, I'll be home there for Christmas. Oh, you can count and plan on me with plenty of snow, mistletoe, present wrapped around your tree. Ow, Christmas Eve will carry me where that love light beam.
Henry.
Yeah.
What was the favorite part of your life? What was your favorite part of your life?
My life. Part of my life was riding a bicycle. Grocery boy.
What did you like about riding a bicycle?
That's where I made my money.
So in some sense, Henry has reacquired his identity for a while through the power of music.
What does music do to you?
Give me the feeling of love, romance. Figure right now the world need to come into music, singing. You got beautiful music here. Beautiful, oh, lovely. And I feel the band of love, dream. Lord came to me, made me holy. I'm a holy man. So he gave me these sounds. I'll just say, I meet you.
Again, so powerful. And of course, it is important to play the music that they like, right? So that's something you're going to need to know as you're doing your assessments with people living with memory loss. Because if a person likes old country, you're probably not going to play Led Zeppelin for them, right? So you definitely want to know what kind of music that they prefer. So let's go on to the creative arts activities. So these activities are, of course, can be a form of communication. The experience is more important than the end result. So some examples are painting, adult coloring books, making a scrapbook or a memory book of their life story, making collages, maybe gardening or cooking. So sensory stimulation activities, senses connect our minds with the world around us. A multisensory approach is best. So we want to draw on emotion and memory, and participation can be active or passive, and it can be adaptable to each stage of dementia. So here's some sensory stimulation activity ideas, and like we've talked probably about a few of these. You can create sensory kits. So here's an example of a fall theme kit. So some pine cones, some cinnamon sticks, pictures of trees or leaves that have fallen on the ground. And maybe for folks who are maybe in the middle stage are able to help make these sensory kits would be beneficial just in an activity itself. You can create a beach theme sensory kit. And here's an example of that. And you can play ocean wave or Caribbean music as they are manipulating or working with the sensory kit. Here are some resources that are available to you, and some references that the Alzheimer's Association used to create this presentation. All right.